There are things that can't be fully expressed, like shadows or mirrors that glide across a camera, face, or skin. We keep scrolling up and down through stories, scrolling to think and stop thinking, and continuing to stop believing. How nice that others speak and think for me. It's like the fantasy that no one wanted but lives with. Mental fatigue manifests in many ways, but oversaturation from digital spheres is another matter. Let's talk about content fatigue. Let's check out this paper. Too much social media, unveiling the facts of determinants in social media fatigue. With the boom in social media, many people spend a lot of time on these platforms, am I right? You, me, everyone has itself on a list. Among them, some develop negative emotions such as fatigue, depression, or disinterest in communicating, and use social media temporarily or permanently can develop this. It is not about constant exposure. Even when you look at it once or twice per week, you're putting yourself in some kind of exposure. That exposure can be negative or positive. Even and in other hand, the type of content, how much we're watching it, etc., also determines what we're going to be dealing with. And that is that moment or in the future. Therefore, this study aims to explore the social media fatigue bag. Where does this come from? Including social media helpfulness, social media self efficacy, online subjective well being, social comparison, compulsive social media use, privacy concerns, fear of missing out, and others. But this time, we're only going to focus on social fatigue because there's a lot to cut from, and we cannot put everything in just one clip. Today, users are becoming accustomed to using social media to send and deliver messages and video calls. With its popularity, has also been an increase in user dependence. Nowadays, tech-savvy young people make up the majority of social media users. Even though you're changing your year on your birthday date when you're signing up, we know we've been 11, 12, perhaps less, perhaps more, and we just wanted to be on the wave. But they often experience greater information overload in digital media environments. As time is spent on social media increases, excessive use of social media may have physical health effects such as mental fatigue, stress, and anxiety. Research has indicated that individuals are avoiding participation in these communication services due to social media fatigue. Have you heard about this? Users do not necessarily have a strong psychological quality to resist information overload. Even if you're just tired of sharing something about you and commenting to others, you just stop across your feed and start scrolling, leading to subjective fatigue and withdrawal from social media use. Clement in 2020 pointed out that 93% of organizations have adopted social media as a tool in their marketing strategies and have generated huge advertising revenue. Research has further found that the use of social media in sales is positively correlated with salespeople's customer knowledge, sales behavior, and performance. I think we all have came across a real estate account in Instagram now seeing the new releases of the rentals and properties that are up for sale, or for example, a customer service course or something that someone wants to sell us and just label it as a course and for you to learn how to be the top B2B customer service rep at the moment, even in well-being, encouraging programs for you to become your own coach. Have you heard something like that or seen something similar in social media? Let me know. Social media can help organizations collect and process various customer information, even your nearby pizzeria, thereby enabling companies to adjust their products to suit different preferences of customer and entering the trends in order for you to see more about this type of not want or not solicited light advertisement. We are we aren't only seeing other people's life and way of living, we're also are seeing ads that aren't disclosed like that because that is what is social media about. I can have a company post that I sell cards and without you even knowing I'm selling you stuff, I'm giving you a non-paid ad from the company side, but at the same time, it is still advertisement. But as social media usage continues to rise, consumers are beginning to experience social media fatigue. What if the person that is watching your not solicited ad just gets tired of scrolling? Now it isn't a potential customer anymore, is it? Since social media does not create content, social media marketing is entirely dependent on user generated content to survive and thrive. Therefore, when social media fatigue leads to reduced, suspended, or discontinued usage, or lurking to use social media without delivering content, it can lead marketers to worry that brand advertising on social media is less effective. For social network services (SNS) providers, as users reduce or withdraw from social media use, they will expect lower long-term profits. And there you go. Scholars believe that social media fatigue has a significant negative impact on users, businesses, and service providers. Now, who is going to watch my unpaid ad? I mean, we need leads, am I right? Fatigue can cause users to drop out of services, resulting in lower profits for companies and service operators. Cognitive load theory suggests that individuals have a finite capacity for processing information. In the realm of social media, users often encounter an overwhelming amount of information, resulting in cognitive overload and subsequent fatigue. This theory clarifies why information overload and compulsive use of social media can be a bit damaging for ourselves, don't you think? Additionally, social comparison theory asserts that people assess their social and personal worth by comparing themselves to others. Can you imagine comparing yourself to the model they put on this non paid ad to you? So you're comparing yourself to an ad that officially isn't it, but it is a content made for you to buy something. So you are not even comparing to something real, just content generated specifically to sell something and acquire leads. That's not. On social media, this frequent comparison can lead to negative self assessments and fatigue. This theory supports the inclusion of social comparison and FOMO as key points. Several medical studies have suggested that fatigue is a psychosomatic response and a series of phenomena of self evaluation and stress perception. Other researchers define social media fatigue as a subjective and multidimensional user experience, including tiredness, annoyance, anger, disappointment, caution, loss of interest, or low need motivation to interact with others in social media. People rely heavily on social media to connect with others and search heavily for information about the outbreak. Users are exposed to excessive and ambiguous information on social media, resulting in fatigue. Additionally, some scholars have argued, such as Shin and Shin in 2016, that social media fatigue is harmful to both users and service providers. For example, if users continue to use social media, their boredom and lack of enthusiasm may lead to lower engagement. Furthermore, users with social media fatigue may experience discontinuous or interrupted use behavior. In addition, social media fatigue is closely related to the health of the mind and body. This could cause depression, anxiety, psychological or emotional stress, social anxiety, and others. Social media helpfulness refers to the extent to which users receive resources and useful information from exploring social media. Users perceive social media to be useful because they satisfy needs such as communicating with others, finding friends, keeping up to date, and being entertained. Bandura in 1977 defines self efficacy as the belief that an individual can organize and perform specific action. Also, self efficacy is a component of social cognitive theory and can be thought of as an individual's confidence in coping with life stress and achieving performance. In addition, scholars have pointed out that people with high confidence are more likely to take action and stay with it, and they are also willing to adopt new technologies or search for useful information. In short, self efficacy affects behavior. So, we as users also try to find social media as a source of information in order for us not to be up to date, but to use it for informational and educational purposes. Today, social media have become one of the ways users communicate with each other. We already know that. But it also provides users and users think that it carries the functionality and helpfulness to engage in conversation, share ideas from relationships and internet groups, and develop their presence, reputation, and identity. Beforehand, identity and personality was something solely attached to a person's development by its own. But now we have these digital tools that can also shape that within ourselves. Some people might think this is dangerous because we are constantly facing lots of content, but some others will think the opposite, that it is helpful for the person to that is growing up to correlate and find people with similar interests and consuming day by day content that might be aligning that person's journey, tastes, ideas, and other. Social media helpfulness refers to the extent to which users receive resources and useful information from exploring social media. Some users perceive social media to be useful because they satisfy needs through that, through their usage, such as communicating with others, finding friends, keeping up to date, and being entertained. Foster and others in 2010 mentioned that people use social media because of their informative value. In other words, users feel that using social media is helpful to them. In addition, Logan and others in 2018 believe that users can obtain resources and useful information from social media and then perceive the social media's helpfulness. Can a social media platform be helpful? Therefore, this study proposes a hypothesis. Other than that, we began to talk about its efficacy and how this can affect us in a psychological and physical way. Points that are worth being studied and us starting to analyze ourselves or be more conscious of our actions, how much time we spend on social media platforms, and what do we do while we are in there. Because some people are telling this is useful, but what are you consuming and what do you do in order for that to be useful for your performative or non-performative development within your life? We are seeing lots of content that nowadays is available that could be almost like an open media file that sometimes we could have found beforehand in magazines, commercials, and others. But nowadays, I can also contribute to that communitarian media file and I can post almost anything, any type of content. Is it instead beneficial to others? Is it instead helpful for my community? We will never know if it's going to be an entire and completely useful file to others. But then the coin flips and we find out that some content is going to be and it's starting to be harmful for us. The same story I thought it was going to be beneficial for myself. And then I get saturated and overwhelmed and develop content fatigue. But due to day to day habits, I cannot stop being on the loop. People cannot stop being on the loop sometimes and just log in and scroll without any purpose or immediate goal within it. And how algorithms works is for another video. But of course, one of the most common things is that they don't put the same topic media to show you in within a time frame of an hour. They show you, start putting you different type of content in between on about different type of topics. So you don't also focus on one thing. And we talk about this about in another video, how our intention is being affected. If you want me to talk about more this deeply in another video, let me know, because everything is correlated at this point. And what is started, let's say, pretty great idea of a common media file about knowing about the world, encouraging relationships, finding groups, knowing about something educational or informative, having a TV on my phone, kind of unit content, small media content, then it became something that is getting us overwhelmed. Did you hear about social fatigue in the past? Let me know. I always put on the description box the informational paper I used, and therefore I'm going to post more related content on following weeks. Have you heard about this topic before? I think it is worth being studied deeply. Let me know. Talk to you in another time.